At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology through experiment and experience our power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, to this week's Collective Imagination Show. And speaking of the 3%, I thought I'd pass on something quite funny that Barbara found, which was an article that currently is on the New Jersey community paper, I believe, and it's about the 3%ers. 3%ers that says cops did nothing wrong. So apparently there is a clique of officers who call themselves the 3%ers in the Jersey City Police Department's Emergency Services Unit. Sprouted about 2 years ago, officials have told the Jersey Journal. They were separating themselves from the others in the unit, and we put a stop to it immediately, of course. These were officers who are anti-government extremists. Don't you love it? So we're not the only 3%ers out there. And we share some, possibly some common philosophies with these guys. They wear patches. They have these blue patches, one of the 3%. I thought that was great. So to this group of 3%ers, welcome.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks. So that's really interesting information. It really just confirms that what we know is that the system isn't entirely against us. It's only the management policies that the actual people in the system are like us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And perhaps they know that it only takes 3%.
It's in the collective imagination. Mm-hmm. It's self-evident now.
I'll put a link to it in the chat room. It's a bad little article. So welcome, you guys. Welcome to Bob.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks, Lisa. Glad to be here.
And Brian.
Aloha. Hello, everyone. As usual, glad to be here, smiling. We'll most likely be doing some giggling at some point, I'm sure. Thank you for having me.
You actually got that with it. Oh, no, there it goes. Chris, how are you?
I'm good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another 2 hours of collective imagining. Good to be here.
That's my daughter's word at the moment, imagining, because every night when we get into bed to put her to sleep, I say, okay, let's do some imagining. And we imagine stuff. So it's good fun.
Is she still imagining bugs?
No, she was quite chuffed with that story, though. Mm-hmm. Tells everybody to put spiders on Mummy's neck.
Not at the age where she's imagining boys yet, either, I'm assuming.
Thankfully not, no. I've got enough of that worry. With the older two, thanks. And we've got Heather with us today, too. Welcome, Heather.
Hi, everyone.
And how is Morocco?
Getting warmer.
Nice. So, today, we are winging it big time as usual. One of the things we wanted to talk about was the language that has sprung up through the whole former OPPT movement, and thanks to Heather, we can credit Heather with this new language that we're all dealing with, about being eternal essence absent limits, and what that means, and how to get your head around it, how to let go of the limitations that we've placed on ourselves consciously and unconsciously, and the sense of freedom that comes with it when you're consciously going through this process. We've all been doing it. those of us who are part of this, the collective imagination, as well as those who are part of the opt-in crew. And it's been an exciting and revealing journey so far, at least for me. But I wanted you guys to share what this whole concept of being absent limits has meant to you, and how you go about it. Who'd like to start?
Well, Bashar has this video where he talks about how humans have become masters of limitation.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful, but so true on so many levels, because I don't believe we came into the world with those beliefs. It's almost like we've been entrained them so as to suffocate the true power that we have from within. And so, becoming absent limits is a process of, for me, has been a process of shedding conditioning. And when you really start to, it's just like any other ability that you want to master. It takes some time and focus, but you have the ability in every moment to make a choice of how limiting you want to be upon yourself. So just making that choice opens up the oyster of all the infinite possibilities of the universe in an instant. It's just staying in that space that's the most challenging and takes time, but it's contagious. And
there's a bit of echo on the line.
On mine?
I don't know where it's coming from. Just a little.
Here, okay.
There's only one thing I would disagree with you on that, Brian, and that is that we don't come in with any limitations. I think we do. And whether they're accrued from, I know that, all lifetimes are potentially simultaneously and there is no such thing as time and all that, but just that linear concept of past lives, I think we do come in with limitations just through observing, as a mum, observing 3 children and how they come into the world. And they're so unique in and of themselves, and a lot of them come in with limitations. I mean, we know that people are born with birth defects, so there's a physical limitation. But some kids are scared, have fears that really don't have any logical, this lifetime source. They're kind of unexplainable.
Mm-hmm. One could argue that comes from past lifetimes, though.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Judy talked about in the and I absolutely agree with that. Over time,
I think one of the hardest things for people to do is to let go of what they think to let go of all their beliefs. Because the first thing that needs to go, you've got to let go of all of the expectation, all of the rules, and people have in their minds, even quote unquote progressive, open-minded people. They place a lot of rules and belief structures around themselves. Now, you've got to align all 7 of your chakras, and you've got to sit in this position and spin this chakra, and you should visualize this color. And that may work. It may work just because it gives your mind something to do, and you visualize it, and it will work for certain people. But that doesn't mean that is the way. People...
It can be a placebo effect. It works because you believe it will.
You're right, exactly. Anything that you can fabricate in your mind and imagine and make real for you, that you can put your belief in. The whole construction of physics, science, all of these things, they were just ways for us in which that we can visualize something and put our belief into. That will work. Yes, that can work. And when you put your belief into it, and as long as you believe it, no matter how nonsensical it may be, you can manifest it. And this works in both directions. So it's a matter of letting go of all the preconceived ideas, notions, and even experiences. Because all the experiences that you have to relate to what it is that you might be trying to do were created in a sense in a space of unconsciousness. So even your past experience, about a certain situation, oh well, this happened before, so I know what's going to happen next. You've got to let go of all of those ideas, and it's the letting go that I think people have such a hard time doing. A lot of these things, beliefs, ideas, structures, have been nurtured over so many, years of time, or so much has been invested in them, and a lot of times just people have a hard time letting go of those things. And it's one of those requirements that in order to really be absent limit, you need to let go of those ideas, those thoughts, those patterns.
Well, that also ties into what we said yesterday, that, people, yesterday said that people live up or down to your expectations. So those expectations are a limitation as well, especially when you get into your head that somebody's, for example, they're always late, never turn up on time. So there's an expectation, and you're limiting them from being late to being late. You're not creating the space for them to actually be on time, ever, because you're holding that limitation and that expectation. And we do it to ourselves all the time, I see. At least I do.
Well, what you just said is very true. There are people in my family who never get there on time, and you actually find yourself giving them an earlier time so they might show up on time. You're actually setting them up to actually maintain that behaviour of being late. So you're contributing to their reality. Yeah.
You're reinforcing a past experience and projecting it into your future.
Mm-hmm. There's a book that I've mentioned on this time.
But it's not just you, it's for both of you.
It's for both of you.
It's having an effect on both.
That book that I've mentioned many times on this show, called the Continuum Concept, what it talked about essentially, what it boiled down to, was expectation, and how the adults expected their children to behave, and they just held an expectation. Like I said, there were kids, toddlers, playing next to a 12-foot deep pit with machetes, but the adults held the expectation completely that they would be fine, that no one would get hurt, no one falls in, and they never did. And if you've brought an adult into that environment that had fears around and expectations of, children not being capable, then they're suddenly not capable.
As I think I'm the oldest person here. Not sure I want to claim that. My mother would simply feed us in the mornings and push us outside and say, "Have a nice day."
Come back when the lights come on.
And we come back when we were hungry, which was usually, lunchtime, and then same thing in the afternoon. And her expectation was that we would be fine. And so that's something else that's changed, very much so at a societal level. People cloister their children because of the fear that's in them. And sure enough, if something happens to little Johnny, it's big news, and they're just perpetuating that entire experience, creating it.
So Heather, absent limits. How did you even conceive of being absent limits? I know that's probably a very big question, but
conceive? I don't know. Just, I guess I stated what I be and what I see all others being. For me, I just pull within, out, so everyone else can see what's visible and everyone can resonate with whatever they resonate with, or let go of whatever they don't resonate with. For me right now, my opinion is irrelevant, just as all other opinions for me are relevant. At this point, it's just about being and doing. So choose what you want to be and then do what you be. You can sit and talk all day long about I'm eternal essence, absent limit, and yet turn around and do everything with limit. And there's no harmony in your speech or your thought or you're doing. So will it manifest the eternal essence absent limit? Well, it may take forever if it goes that way, but it's just a matter of choices right now. That's all. What do you choose to be? What do you choose to do?
That's another thing. Once you start to release a lot of these things, certain words in the language will immediately cause a negative, like the word supposed to, you're supposed to. As soon as I hear it, it immediately causes something to go right up my spine, or the idea of I can't or I have to.
Another trigger for me, Bob, is the word should. You should.
Yeah.
That's a command. You're imposing your will on somebody else.
Yeah.
Someone's actually asked the question of you, Heather, in the chat room, of releasing fear. They're asking for your advice on letting go of fear.
Letting go of fear. I haven't experienced fear in a very long time. I have a hard time remembering what that feels like. I recall it almost like giving birth, but I don't know. It's a choice you make. Either you're going to be afraid or you're not. One or the other. Do you choose to be afraid? I mean, if everyone thinks that there's limits on how long you live, or whether a bullet in your chest actually kills you, or just whether a car that hits you, whether the car's going to hit you. There's all these fears around. Either you're going to live with fear or you're not. So I think that's a choice. I know it's a choice that I made, and I chose not to experience fear.
Well, the thing about fear, just to dovetail on that, Heather and Lisa, is that whenever you're afraid of something, it's not something that is happening to you in the moment. It's something that you are worried is going to happen at some time in the future. So the best way to kind of get yourself out of fear mode is to become present and realize in the present moment, unless you're in some life or death situation and, there's a situation where you could lose your life, many of the times fear can just be released and let go, because it's a feeling that is attached to not wanting something to go down at some time that's of sometime that's in the future. So presence is a good way to combat against fear, or to decide that you're not going to be fearful of something, or allow yourself to fall into a place of fear.
Do you think it comes down to the ultimate fear, which is the contrived fear of death?
I think that a lot of the fear that people go through has nothing. Well, I can't say. There's a lot of people, I'm sure, that fear death, but I'd say that everyday fears aren't so much attached. Like with fears that people are talking about in the chat room, it's probably the majority of them probably aren't attached to death. They're probably fearful of not having enough money to pay their bills, or they're fearful of something, some kind of circumstance or situation showing face in their life that they aren't looking forward to, or something along those lines. And when you fear something like that, you pay energy into that circumstance actually manifesting in your life. So it's like the law of detachment post that I put up the other day, is when you can just totally detach yourself, go through life as a conscious observer and not worry about, something playing itself out one way or another, just allowing things to, allowing your life to unfold in the moment. There really, truly is nothing to fear in that space, especially if you believe that death is just crossing over to another reality, or another way, another form of life, another form of living. So I kind of feel with Heather. I can't remember a time in my life, in the last few years at least, where I've been really fearful of something. So it's personally, it's something that's kind of hard for me to remember as well.
I can.
Bob and Lisa, 2011 was really when we were in the trenches in the court system, and dealing with the purported police and all this other stuff, the sheriffs and everyone else. There were many moments that were before me where my heart would start pounding. I would start sweating. I just felt all of these different mechanisms. And with each moment, I just had to choose how I was going to deal with it. And then after each moment went by, even the most perceived, crucial, fearful moments, it was just kind of like, wow, okay, that's over. So now where do we go from here? And there's a reason why you go through these experiences. So it was just a matter of me figuring out what's the reason. I can only speak to what I experienced, but, I've noticed that lately for the last couple of weeks, especially the last 4 or 5 days, everyone's been talking about limits. I mean, I don't know if they see them as limits, but they're talking about limits, whether it's fear, whether it's monetary, family, contrast, whatever limit it is. And we were talking about Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor from My Stroke of Insight.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian stated something at the beginning where he was saying, it's about removing limits and it takes time and practice. All I know is from my experience, and her experience was very similar as far as releasing limits. Hers was done in a totally different way. But, it's being trained in the art of limits. Between medicine and the legal field, those are extreme arts of limits, forms of limits. And yet hers happened in basically a twinkling of an eye, the release of all limits through a stroke. Mine was not through a stroke, but it was just through a matter of saying, okay, I recognize it, I see it, I accept it, I embrace it, I kiss it on its way out because I don't choose to have that. And I know in her book she was discussing how she repatterns the synapses of whenever an event, a moment of now happens, she chooses whether she wants to experience it that way or do a different way. And then she repatterns her synapses. So all I can tell you is what I know my experience has been. Fear, yeah, I've seen it, and I just chose to hug it. And once I hugged it, I realized there was nothing to fear about it, and those that were trying to make me fear lost all control. And as far as choosing to have limits or not have limits, that's every moment in the now that I make that choice. When something comes before me, do I choose to do this with limits or absent limits? My answer is always absent limits, and so I do. I may not know what to do at that very given moment, but I just go with what resonates within me, and it usually, almost always, if not always, comes out great.
So do you find that if you're confronted with a fear and you deal with it in that moment, with that feeling of I'm going to embrace this absent limits and give it a hug, that scenario never comes again because you've dealt with it? You've actually...
Yeah. It was funny because there were 2 moments in particular that stuck out in 2011, and that was 2011 was the last time I ever felt anything like fear because I knew what it looked like and I knew I could deal with it. I knew that it was never going to affect me again. And one of those moments was when I had been arrested. They came over, these guys in SWAT gear came over, guys I had worked with as a prosecutor, came over and basically trespassed on my property and took me, arrested me, and I just sat there looking at my children who should have been at school and me going, what the hell did I just do? What did I get myself into? I didn't even tell my husband about, the house and the investigation or any of that, and I'm just sitting there going, what do I do? And I just said, what do I do now? And I'd been given this Dorothy Oz script to review a couple of months before, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to go in there and let's just see what I do with each moment. And with each moment, it was an experience, and it was something that really was so deep as far as the data I received and how to move forward with the investigations and with essentially the release in December and everything else. So it really was an experience that was required as a tool. At the same time, really, it was just my children. It wasn't about me. It was about a fear about my children and how does this affect them. And yet I figured out, I knew, this was February 3rd, 2011, I knew to trust that this was part of the absolute plan and that we had all agreed to this. And my children, after that, I saw them very differently. And the last time, and it happened to be regarding my children, was in Switzerland, right after London in 2011, December 2011, I think it was December 30th. And I had received a phone call from one of my contacts who's old banking families, and basically that someone was threatening my children, that if I wasn't flexible or didn't stop, they were going to harm my children. And I had to go in. That took about 20 minutes for me to go in, really look at my children and communicate with them in a different way. And then at that moment, it was like this knowing came over me. We all chose this. We all chose to make this end now. And so we went forward. And after that, I just released it, and I knew my children were absolutely protected. And anyone moving in this moment now of eternal essence, absolute knowledge, absolute data, just absent limits, are absolutely protected. No matter what experience they may be having, there's a reason for that experience, and they'll know what to do when they're in there, in that moment. That was it.
If I may also just add something practical that people can do. My view on fear is that it's an emotion that arrives to draw your attention to something, but people become consumed by it instead of paying attention to the thing that it's trying to flag you over. You know, it's actually, to me, it's a call to do something. But the emotion itself is of no use other than to as a slap up to say, better pay attention to this. The actual emotion itself, once it's delivered its message, you just don't need it. And setting it aside is a habit that you can acquire, having received the message. And I kind of view it as, thank you for that message. Don't need you now, and love you very much, and off you go. And that happens. People get little doses of fear daily about all sorts of things, just little fears. And if you acquire the habit of just dealing with it that way, when the big ones arrive, you can deal with it the same way. Anelia Benz has a really nice little meditation on her website about releasing fear, and it's virtually following exactly the pattern that we're talking about here. Feel it, recognize it, thank it, give it a big hug, send it off, and then take whatever action it was there to flag you about. And that's a habit that you acquire, just to me, of what to do when that energy arrives. And if you deal with it as an energy arriving, rather than saying, "Oh, I'm scared," oh no, it's just some energy arriving, and it makes you scared. So thanks, and I'll deal with it.
You know how I do.
It is a measurable frequency. Fear is a measurable frequency, and love is as well. Fear is it doesn't touch as many cells within your body. So if you up it to, the higher frequency, meaning shorter waves, you're touching every cell in your body, and you're able to use your body, instinctively. So I don't know. There's so many tools out there, and really just go with what resonates. Know that this is a moment where no damage or harm is going to be had to anyone. If you're in a situation that is perceived as harmful or fearful, those are old tools that are being reconciled, and you're there in that position. What do you choose to do?
One of the things that I did in order to help people overcome fear, I used the system of logic, because basically people they feel afraid because they don't feel that as though that they have any control in their own lives. I mean, if you knew that you had absolute control over everything that you experience, you wouldn't be afraid because you knew you had control over it. But you don't believe in yourself, and this whole fear is always associated with loss. You're afraid of losing something, whether it's your life, whether it's the love, or it's respect, or it's something. But when you start to understand how energy works, energy is eternal. And I love how Bashar put it. The nature of existence is to exist, and the nature of non-existence is to not exist. they both go out of their way in order to perform their nature. Existence will always go out of its way to exist. Non-existence will always go out of its way to keep from existing. So if you're in existence, you never need to worry about non-existence because non-existence doesn't exist. And once you get that in your head, non-existence doesn't exist. I can't die. And once you understand that fully, and everything that science tells you, everything that logic tells you can agree with that, it's not something that you need to believe in anymore. It's an axiom. You are eternal. And once you know that you're eternal, okay, well then, I can alleviate that fear, and so much goes away after that. Because once you know that you're eternal, and that, okay, if I'm eternal, that makes me God, then maybe I can believe that I have control. Nothing's going to happen to you ultimately. You're still always going to exist.
Yep.
Yep. I've got a train going past, and I'm going to mute. So keep the conversation going, guys.
Yeah, well, removing the control mechanisms that have been imposed upon us over many centuries have a very, very heavy emphasis on fear. I mean, if here's something you can do. If you look at a message of fear on the media, right, you can probably recognize the manipulation behind it. It's usually associated with trying to introduce something that the owners of the media want you to either pay attention to or to want to actually turn your opinion in a particular direction. And the meme of fear has been applied across all of the, if you like, the societal, shall we say, information distribution points. Religion, in religion, there's a lot of fear. In the Catholic religion, in particular, there's fear of retribution after death, which is pivotal to what Lisa was saying. The great lie that consciousness ceases at death, and that we only have one life. That's one of the biggest sources of fear, and that's been deliberately introduced, and we have to work very hard to actually make that go away.
Subtly in a lot of the channelings. These love and light messages that then introduce fear through the back door. So they'll present a scenario and say there is nothing to be afraid of. Well, if there's nothing to be afraid of, why even mention fear? There is, there's no reason to feel a certain negative way about this scenario that we're presenting, what we're going to do. Well, why bring it up? Why?
We talked about this last week too, Lisa. We said we were going to talk about it on to the idea of stop paying your energies into the old paradigm.
Yes.
Don't if you're you are even having a discussion on fear, you're paying energy to the idea of fear. Whereas if you choose to not even consider it, then it will cease to exist. It's just the process of others considering it that brings it into the fore, that brings energy to it, and now all of a sudden it's something that you have to deal with. And we get a lot of questions. Well, if I get a ticket, and there's still the systems that are going to enforce it and all this stuff, and yeah, there is, but. And some people may not feel as comfortable as others. I mean, I went full go on unplugging myself from the system 6 months ago. I didn't file my taxes on April 15th. I'm not paying. My personal choice was to not pay any energy into the old paradigm. And if there's any type of if there's anything that comes into my life as a result of making that choice, well, I'll deal with it as it comes. And if it does, there's probably some experience, something to be learned from that experience. But I'm not going to put any worry energy into what if this happens, because that's the way that it always has been. Well, if everybody decides,
Brian, we've just mission full circle. So here, instead of putting our attention and focus and energy on not being afraid and releasing fear, then we scrap that altogether and put the attention, focus, and energy on just being absent limits. And then we're focusing on what we want, and we're not paying any attention to what we don't. Because the moment, even if we're focusing on not having fear, or not feeling fear, or releasing fear, the focus is still on fear.
I want to tell you a story, and this is a true story. You know, this happened to me. I was 2007. I was living in Germany. I had just gone through about 6 months of the most severe illness up into my life that I had experienced up until that point. I had blood poisoning. I lost over 60 pounds. And during this whole period of time, I wasn't working. So I had no income coming in, trying to pay doctor bills and everything. And by the time I had gotten healthy enough to start working again, I was already like 5 months behind in my rent. They were threatening to turn off the electric bill. I would have this bill collector constable that would come by my house, you know, and I was literally hiding in my own house, you know, ducking behind the curtain. So much fear. I would go to the mailbox, you know, and there'd be a piece of mail or bill or final notice or something in there that I didn't want to see. And I remember sitting in my backyard reading this bill and literally crying, throwing a fit. How in the world? And how am I going to pay? They're going to shut the electricity off, and I'm not going to be able to. And I was having a fit, you know, because I received a piece of paper in the mail, and obviously the story. I didn't die because I'm talking to you now. I made it through that experience, and I probably didn't need to have all of the anguish, anxiety, stress. I probably caused my own illness. And all the stress I was putting myself through. And I remember after going through that, and I may have told this story once before, but I was like, no, never again. I'm not doing this. There's no point in me stressing myself. I can only do what I can do, and that's all I'm going to do. And I just stopped worrying about it anymore.
Mm-hmm. It changed quickly, too, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Vodafone called me, and they were like, Mr. Wright, you realize that you have 300 euro that you owe. When do you plan on paying? I was like, I don't plan on paying it at all. And she answered me like, you understand you owe this money. I understand that that's your understanding, but understand I don't plan on paying this at all.
The conversation in the chat room has turned, as we suspected it would, to questions about the IUV. Now, an article went up on American Kabuki and Brian's blogspot and removing the shackles, which essentially was just the contents of a Skype conversation of Heather giving us a bit of a heads up on what was happening. So, as to date, to this moment, everybody in the listening knows as much as I do about what it is. So, Heather, if you're available and can elaborate, can you guys put some specific questions in the chat room that you have around this to give us a starting point? And well, one question is, Lisa, my mum is senior and she wonders how she will access her iPage as she has no computer.
Sorry, no computers, no IUV page. Sorry, bad joke.
That's the first question.
But the first question, even though she's a senior, she still managed to get her question asked on the computer.
That's true. Have we lost
Bob said it? Oh. Bob said it right there. So I was just sitting there thinking about that. But look, I'm sure there will be groups that decide, well, let's help those that don't have computers. It's the iPage, the iSystem, and the UV Exchange. Those are already the lawful and legal structures have been implemented for quite some time, since March. Or no, was it February? When did it go in? March. As far as the tools of assistance, that's what Caleb's bringing up right now, and those tools of assistance will be something to assist people in understanding what absolute value is and what being and doing is through tools of representation. Apparently, that's something that's an experience that's chosen. So that's what we were getting together.
And basically, you could also get her a phone, get her a smartphone.
Well, there's the iPhone app is, I guess, ready and done, and Caleb's doing something on the servers, so I know that he'll be here and everything will be launched. I'm waiting right now to see which time he'll be here, and then it goes. So it's basically tools that are going to be very familiar, and they're replacing old harvesting tools from the former systems, and these tools will allow you to go in, and when representation is comfortable, required, or a part of any kind of transaction, delivery, or receipt, you'll have those tools.
Will the service be safe from hacking is the next question, and I'll answer that by saying yes, because Caleb's behind this.
Yeah.
Caleb's connected to the best hackers on the planet. If they can't hack-proof it, then it can't be hack-proofed.
Yeah. Nope. Everything we're putting absolute energy into empowering every other embodiment, and so that's really the question I've had for the last couple of weeks. And when I do go into the Skype rooms or emails or anything else, people want to know, okay, when is this going to happen? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? And I'm kind of like, well, I'm doing. So my question is what are you doing? Other than contacting me going, what are you doing? And when is it going to be done? It's like, what are you doing?
Another thing I want to address, if you're worried about security, if you're worried about anything, what are you creating? I live in my house. I'm disabled. I never lock my doors. My friends go crazy. You got to lock your door. Why? Why?
I'm the same with the car. I never lock the car.
If you're worried, about security, you're worried about all these. I keep hearing all of people's fears, and this we talked about this in the beginning of the show. So, what are your thoughts on right now?
Oh, the same thing came up with the declaration yesterday, and wanting to put a database together of all the people who have made that declaration. Lots of concerns about who's going to have access to that list. Well, it'll be a public list, so it doesn't matter. I mean, you don't have to hack it. You can read it from the website.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, the concern that a couple of people had was that we were holding a database with extensive information in it, which is not the case. The only information that would get held is just those basic details, which are going to be on public display. And it's done with the permission of the people involved. It's their choice. So what's the problem? You just go and copy it and paste it.
Here's what I can tell you is that essentially, Facebook, Google, Twitter, MySpace, all these tools that have been around, even your bank accounts, your emails, your school records, your medical records, everything's all in the system. The only ones that don't see it are like the other people around you. But as far as the ones that you don't want to see it, they all have back doors into those systems. If it doesn't, let's put it this way, if it didn't serve the former slavery system, then it wasn't allowed to exist. So they already have access to all this data. As far as the I and the UV exchange, here's how this whole thing works, is everyone has absolute control over their own page. I call it an I page, and that's just me and our little whiteboard discussions, because I don't have any other better terms for it right now. I just call it an IP. So essentially, everything that I want anyone to see, or that is me, if I choose to put it up there so people can see it, I have my key. So essentially, you have all this encryption coding, right? And this is how Caleb explained it to me, because I'm not a wizard. So essentially, I have a key, and it's the key that, for instance, Facebook has, but Facebook doesn't give you. So it can go into your page any little time it wants and maybe kick you out because they don't think you're real, or they go in, they remove certain comments, whatever they want to do. In this case, those that choose to, have their iPage and have their stuff on there, they have their own key. So no one, Caleb doesn't have it, nobody who works on the servers has it, only you have it. And you can change it anytime you want, and you can give it to whoever you want to be able to exchange or share your information with. You are in absolute control. So you are also absolutely responsible and liable for whatever you put on there. And on this, let's say, iPage, only for lack of a better term at this moment, okay, let's say on this iPage, Heather has all of her stuff on there. I have a car. I have a house. I have 4 kids, by the way. I have, a bank account, and I have all my things on there because I'm transparent, and this is what I'm about. Everyone's, 10 billion value that have been commandeered will all be on their UV exchange accounts. You have absolute control over it. Nobody else does. You can change your key anytime you want, but I can go in and say, Brian, I want to exchange with you. I want to go in. I really like what you're doing over here. I have something of value over here. Would you consider exchanging it? I'll give you my key. You're able to go see what I have. I'm able to see what you have, and then we can exchange. And you have an actual delivery system, because that's really what people are sort of not really getting, is how do I deliver the value? How do I access the value? How can I deliver it, and how can I receive it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here is what we call an advanced tool, a now tool, call it whatever you want, but it's only representative of the absolute tech, which is you, your energy, your being, your values. You can create anything and produce anything you want. OPPT was an experience in absolute tech and absolute value. Did people recognize that? Some, yes. And for some, it's sitting there, it's percolating. So this iPage, for instance, I will have absolute control over it. I will also have full responsibility and liability. So if I harm Brian and I don't have what I say I have, there's recourse there. I'm responsible for making sure I don't steal from him, he doesn't steal from me. But then again, we're transparent. And I'm not going to sit there and do business or do exchanges with someone that I don't trust or that I don't have some kind of relationship with.
So the main question coming up at the moment, or confusion, is about exchanging. So you can only exchange with someone within the IUV system, or does it interact with the current?
It's absent limit, Lisa. So every form of representation possible that has existed, even the stuff that got canceled, but is still floating out around there. Any form of representation, canceled or otherwise, can be brought in and used in the system. So you can use old tools, like if you're sitting there exchanging a piece of value, because it's really about value. As Caleb said, if he receives like PayPal, if he receives funds, FRNs, Swiss francs, whatever of those canceled currencies, and it comes in, and yet the person that's receiving says that's not value to me, or he can't receive that value, then that particular representation of value is no longer relevant, is it?
No.
So it's a choice of all of the former systems to decide whether they're going to be relevant or not. And it's also a choice amongst those that are exchanging to decide what is relevant for them or not. So we're going to make it so that every single form of former representation, as well as absolute energy, absolute value, everything from the gambit, absent limit, anything you can fathom, and then anything you can't fathom right now but will. This is a launch pad for everyone to imagine something. And then from there, imagine absent limit, and then do what they imagine. It's a launch pad. It's a tool, guys, and we're not attached to it. Once it's built, we hope someone comes along and says, and we know someone will come along and say, Caleb, that's really great what you made. I can do better. And then all of a sudden, everything may change in such a way that it's actually better than what it was, yet you won't feel disruption in the service and in your exchanging and use of those tools. You'll just see that it's actually working better for you, yet you don't lose control. You have absolute control. You still have absolute responsibility. You just find that it's much easier for you at this point. And it's a tool for you to actually go in and decide what tools you want to replace, what tools you want to edit, what tools you want to just totally discard, and what tools you want to create. It's absolutely under your control.
Everybody has to remember this is just a bridge tool anyways. All these are bridge tools.
It's a bridge tool.
So, okay, I'm just reading the chat room for common questions. And can I use the IUV to buy a plane ticket?
You'll be able to do that too.
Coming to Morocco. Coming to Morocco.
I like that. Training wheels for freedom. That's great. Yes, exactly.
This is all absent limits. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm just saying that it's going to be a launch pad. And then from there, all these incredible embodiments of eternal essence are going to add to it, make it just incredible. And it's just going to keep evolving. But you got to have a launch pad to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's like going in and saying, I've got a project, and all you can envision is the perfect result that you want, and yet you got to start somewhere. So once you start and when you finish, it's way better than what you actually imagined as the perfect result.
Another question that I can actually answer is, will it include a Skype-type tool? And Caleb and I had a conversation around this some time ago, and he said yes. So it's which references back to what Heather said before. It's replacing all of those harvesting systems, of which Skype is one of them.
And it also have like blogging. You can do blogging on your iPage. It's a one-stop shop. It's for you. It's your representation on the digital that you can print off, hard copy. You can do anything you want with this, but it's all under your control.
And also, you've said that this is universal or galactic, is whatever word. So we can even use this to exchange with the galactics.
Yeah, I am the universal value exchange system. We're already geared lawfully and legally and in essence as well as in conscious for universal, okay? It's national, global, whatever limits you want to put on it for you, go ahead. But as far as for the actual structure itself, it's universal, eternal essence universe. Everything that is, anything that is within I and UV exchange. So this is to prep everyone for the big disclosures, which have been happening for a while now, but for the one that some people are really hanging their hat on.
Here's a question. Is the initial application only for iPhone, or is it also Android?
The way that it's rolling out right now is that we have the iPhone app that's supposedly already done. You have to check with Caleb on that. But the iPhone app is already done. The Windows app, he's finishing up right now. It was done, and he found something he needed to fix real quick, so that's what he's working on tonight. And then he has plans for the iPad. I might be getting this tech names wrong because I'm not a techie. iPad team, Android team, iPhone team, Windows team, desktop team. I don't know. He's got all these teams. So this is all self-sustaining within those that use it. You know, other than that, we've already put in a lot of energy in different forms of representation as well as energy in absolute. And this is all for all the embodiments of eternal essence it's not going to be, how do you say it? It's not the former system. There's absolute transparency. You have absolute control. That's very key. Those are two key points, because the former systems actually were beautiful. The only thing that wasn't beautiful, that really hung themselves, was that it wasn't transparent, and it wasn't honest as far as who was the value, who had the value, and where it was moving to. There was no transparency, no control by those who were actually producing the value.
The other question that's constantly coming up is, there was a reference to the 10 billion in that release that went out. So what is that? Where does it fit in? How does that work?
In the IUV exchange, in the Eternal Essence document, everything that is Eternal Essence embodied. So the gold, those that think of gold, silver, or anything else as inanimate, just an object, they're gonna find through experience that it is actually an embodiment. So gold and silver and all the precious metals, all of those things that have been in former systems that were essentially as much slave as everyone else, they're free. And they have been free since last year, since December 10th. And that which is still around is there as part of their secret squirrel mission, in order for those that had to flush out the former systems and the last remnants of it. Okay, so that they would have confidence to show themselves visibly. And that's what's really happening here, more so in the last week than anything else, is that those that worked behind agents, appointments, or any kind of frontmen, they're actually having to come out in the open now so that everyone can see them. It's their last-ditch effort, and that's fine. That's for the roles to finish, and I love all those embodiments. So the gold and the silver and all of those precious metals, when there is a transaction, or feeling, a choice that there needs to be a representation of some kind, then the gold, the silver, it's there. It's there to use. However, if one abuses it, they're going to be sort of a co-manager, co-operator of the UV exchange. And if someone goes into exchange with it, and on the receiving side, for instance, they abuse it or use it, have an intent to use it in a way that damages any other embodiment, they're going to find that gold and silver doesn't stick around, either through a series of events, circumstances. They'll end up finding that they just don't have it. They've lost it somehow, some way. But that's all part of their control.
And we've actually been joined by Caleb. You there, Caleb?
Yes, I am. How are you?
I'm very, very well. A lot of people want to say thank you for what you're doing with Project 13.
That's very touching. It really is. I'm not a very touchy person, but I really appreciate that.
Well, we're all touchy-feely here today for you. So.
Thank you.
So we just wanted to say that. Say thank you and lots of love. Because we know there's been a lot of work gone into this.
Oh, yeah. Volumes.
A lot of people, I imagine.
Not really, but enough.
Enough.
Well, it's not done yet, so what are you doing here, man?
Yeah, back to work.
If you listen, you'll hear me typing and talking at the same time, so...
Got to be a multitasker these days.
Does this mean I get to go to bed now that Caleb's here?
No.
All right.
Okay.
Does Caleb want to address as far as how close he is to an actual official launch date, or has it been determined yet?
I am keeping that under wraps. So I refuse to write software toward artificial launch dates. So when it's done, it's done.
Got it. Makes sense.
We're really close. But,
just know it's coming, everybody.
It's coming.
So and I know that, okay, not to a specific date, but you are working for the month of May, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to win. But if it's not done by the end of May, I'm going to go out and shoot myself.
No, don't do that. No, don't.
Wakeboard season is starting. It's time to get out on the water.
Cancel that.
Kayla, they're actually asking you to do another interview, but I'm sure that'll come when this Project 13 gets launched.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece of code. So, and it's just a framework. So, Heather is describing one implementation of a framework, not the fulfillment of it.
Yep.
So, lots of other people will have things that they can plug into it as well. And that's why I'm going to be really, really nitpicky about this initial launch, because it has to all work. Otherwise, you're just polishing a turd. I refuse to do that. So, from a technical perspective, anyway.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it'll be fantastic. It'll be beautiful.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the party.
I will. Thank you. I'll jump off now.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you, bro.
How come he gets to get off?
Wait, he's got work. He's got lots of work to do on Project 13. So.
Not to say that
it's 6 o'clock there. It's 6 p.m. there, and it's 2 a.m. here. And I have 4 little ones up in 4 hours.
Heather, why are you trying to sound like you're busy all of a sudden? I'm just kidding. I love you.
Yes, but you're a woman, Heather. So
she's only got 4 kids. So.
What do you mean by that, Bob? Exactly.
Well, the scales aren't exactly balanced. I mean, she can have like 4 or 5, 6, 8 or 9, 10 things on her plate. Men, we focus really good on one thing at a time.
I'm going to wing slap him when he's sleeping tonight.
I have trouble chewing gum and walking at the same time, so.
Put it out there. Did we get the questions asked on the IUV, and so that we can move on to something else? Or?
There's one, Lisa. There's one more in our chat that comes from BZ that I just posted into our chat.
Where does the 10 billion work into this? What she is describing, does that sit in the old system or the new? Is that the one you're talking about?
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah, the UV accounts will all be. That's what they are going to all be starting at.
At 10 billion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what's reserved for, except for the few that, have a lot of liabilities since that date. But for the most part, everybody has that to go about. I mean, this is energy that was the amount that was set, and it was set for very specific reasons, which, a lot of you are becoming able to fathom over the last 3 to 4 months. But that is essentially only a fraction of the energy that was taken. So for me to sit there and go, okay, here's 1 billion out of your 10, and the 9 billion that's left, we're going to put over here, and we're going to use over here. That's your energy. That's your energy. You decide how to use it. You decide where to use it, when to use it, etc. I know everyone is in a different place than they were even 3 months ago, or even 6 months ago, or a year ago, or even, as Brian said, 10 days ago.
I was going to say, try yesterday.
Okay, yesterday. So, it's a matter of choice. And if people choose to just go and blow it, or we'll just leave it at that, to blow it, then that's their choice too. But then again, after what everyone's gone through, I think that they're going to find it's a very hard lesson for them to learn. But love them anyways. This is all done because it's the right thing to do. It is what is. So all the accounts will be set at that to start with, and all the gold and silver, you'll be able to see that that's all there. Funny enough, what is it? Now nobody can go in and audit or actually see or inspect their goals and all these supposed holdings within the former systems. So you have a lot of evidence out there. Just keep looking, keep watching. Meanwhile, Caleb, myself, and many, many others are going out there and we're creating the tools now so they can be launch pads for the absolute.
And Lisa, there's one more question from Linda in the chat. If you can find it there.
Yes, I can. Can you get an answer from Heather about how do we buy, for example, property from someone who is not part of Project 13?
There's a lot of data that is simultaneously or near simultaneously going to be coming out. Okay, and that has to do with data of everything that's been done behind the scenes. You'll find that all of these holdings, supposed holdings, purported holdings in banks of land, etc., titles, whatnot, you're going to see a huge major transition. They just need to have a place to put the content, which is why Caleb is doing what Caleb's doing. Then you're going to see people come out and actually disclose what's been happening, what exactly has happened, the significance, which for me, what happened in the past is all irrelevant. What is happening now is what's important. But I get that other people need to hear validation, confirmation, because of all this training and programming. So you'll get all of that data as well. And you'll find that when you want to go and have a house, when you want to go and have an experience on a piece of land or anything else, you'll be able to have those tools and that experience, period.
Okay, that was a great Heather answer, but I don't know if it was a great 3D answer.
Well, I'm just telling her everything is actually going to be a part of, it's not Project 13, but I mean what Project 13 is right now and what it's going to be. All of that stuff is going to be the content in there. That is the new system. So nothing will be outside of it.
Okay.
So for me, the question is, let's just say a matter of data.
All right. Well, there are people in the chat room who are very much getting what you're saying.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Now what? See, I'm telling you guys, this whole business of being in the present, I've been complaining about it all morning. I feel like I've got early onset dementia because it was like, what? It's getting my short-term memory is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. I don't know what I said 5 minutes ago.
What is it? I once heard that the memories you have, whether it's this lifetime, past lifetimes, whatever it may be, are all tools that are here to help you in this moment of now. So if you're not remembering past 24 hours ago, I wonder if it's even
because it's not relevant. Yeah, right. Well, apparently nothing that led up to this moment is relevant anymore.
I do have that information about Daryl that I'd like to put out. If you're looking for some content right now, because Lisa's list is gone.
Go for it.
Okay, been a development with Daryl Zellini's voluntary foreclosures that he put some properties into, part of his testing the system and educating the system. There's a post up on the OPPT front page that's got a description of what's currently going on. Daryl actually was detained yesterday for refusing his leave to leave his property when when the removalists essentially turned up to try and take all his stuff. There is an arraignment being held tomorrow for him because they're actually trying to charge him, I think, with criminal trespass in this instance here. And I'll read you a quote directly from a couple of the police officers that were involved in actually detaining Daryl. They stated that Daryl is refusing to recognise their system. They stated that if this UN order is so important, why was there not a press conference held? Both very interesting comments, and if Daryl gets a chance to speak openly in the court, which, that's really, well, we'll see how that works out. But he's got plenty of answers to both those questions. There'll be some very interesting energy to dump into that courtroom. And what we're trying to do is to first of all, there's an email blast that we'd like to put out, and the details are on the front page of the OPPT site. So we've got email addresses there of police officers and various other people involved in this. And if you want to drop a short message of support, however you choose to do so, that would be fantastic. But more importantly, at Courtroom A, 1 p.m., 15 Victoria Avenue, Belleville, Ontario, in Canada, is the location where this will take place tomorrow. If anyone's able to get there and lend him support, particularly if you can bring a camera and video, whatever you can video, and video to Daryl afterwards, so we can put something out on YouTube, that would be fantastic, because we're chronicling Daryl's fight against the system. He's doing a fantastic job of educating them. And the right energy to put into this one is that you're supporting him in that process. That is, you're educating the system. You're putting the energy of change into it. So have a look at the front page of the OPPT site. Do an email blast if you can, and if you happen to be in that area at that time, if you can do it, it would be fantastic if you could go in there and give him some support. And that's it, Lisa. It's back to your list.
My non-existent list.
Your non-existent list.
With content to discuss today.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you guys, I did have a few things on my list for today, and I can't find it. And my short-term memory won't allow me to remember any of it. So we are winging it even more than usual today. And so that's why you can't go to sleep, Heather, because I need all the help I can get.
I can say, Lisa, it's 11:11, so it can't be.
11,
It
lovely.
can't be too bad on my clock anyway.
Yeah, mine too. So it is. Well, there's some questions coming up around Swissindo, so this will go to Brian predominantly, I guess, and Heather, if you know the answers to any of these. Where'd it go? Chat room's moving too fast. Did you see them?
I didn't, no. I'm kind of spacing out right now, in all honesty.
I can't get them back.
You're not sitting next to Bob, are you?
Keeps moving too fast.
You're not sitting next to Bob.
I am not sitting next to Bob.
Not getting any secondary smoke.
Catching a bit of his high.
No.
Well, on my screen, you see, on my screen here, you two are right next to one another, so. Okay, you're only 3,000 miles apart. I'm kidding. Yep.
Yeah, bro. I passed to the left.
Okay, one question is, has Heather had any direct contact with the Swissindo group?
No. Nope, I gave everyone, I think everyone in the universe has my phone number, my Skype. They know where I am, so, it needs to be face-to-face, though. That's what I did tell Paula and Daryl and the others, even, is that it needs to be face-to-face because this is about energetic exchange. Anyone can send me up those passports. Anyone can say who they are. I love the energy or the intent, at least, that is portrayed in the energy. But as far as direct contact, no, I haven't had any.
Yeah. Heather, how do you view, you've obviously seen the order document that they produced. It looked to me like they were essentially trying to do their version of what you've been calling reconciliation. They seem to have an intent to do something positive.
Here's what I say. Here's what I will say. As far as the documents that were sent to me with the purported bank orders, it looks like, what do you call it? Wire room typing. It is typical of those kinds of level of banking with all the spelling errors and everything else. As far as what their intent is stated in there, I think it's great for the reconciliations because there needs to be a mutual reconciliation with all the embodiments that played the roles of the powers that were, as well as all the roles that played, the general public, whatever role it may be. There needs to be reconciliation. A thank you so much for getting us all here. We were all a part of this. As far as the actual documents going to OPPT doesn't exist anymore. It was reconciled. All trusts were reconciled. So everything is actually already sitting in the I-UV exchange, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really nothing to transfer. It's just a matter of everyone doing these reconciliations, saying, thank you so much. We all made it happen. So
Yeah,
there's some things that need to be corrected in there, but...
Yeah, there's some issues of detail, but the intent would appear to be, the 3D reality we've been living, reconciling with the lawful and legal and spiritual location that we actually find ourselves in, catching up, if you were, or at least moving and reconciling so that the flow, the next point of destination is what you're talking about. So,
yeah, if the intent is what is represented, it's represented, the intent is beautiful, and I welcome that kind of intent. I think everyone on the planet, for the most part, welcomes that kind of intent.
There's a huge number of people out there who are part of this reconciliation who've yet to even hear that fact. And my sort of spidey instinct is saying that whatever this particular energy has instigated is going to lead to, or going to contribute to the occurrence of the sort of events we're talking about. So I look upon it very positively, even though I've got limited information about it at the moment.
Well, I look at it very positively, and actually it's very consistent with conversations or data communications that I have had from those within the former systems that are quietly working behind the scenes. And from what I understand is that everything is actually going per the I-UV exchange, the transparency, the accountability, the actual honesty of what the value is, and the exchange system. So it's actually consistent with all the data I have from independent sources.
Well, that's good to hear.
Brian, do you have anything to add to the Swissindo conversation?
I think I pretty much said everything I had to share last night. You know, I'm learning all this stuff as I go as well. I haven't received anything completely new over the course of the last few days, and you know, the people at Swissindo got everything they needed when they discovered the UCC filings. They don't, one of the big misunderstandings was that, there was some big deal, being brokered between the former OPPT and Swissindo, and that's absolutely not the case. I mean, Heather just said it right out in the open right now. She has never even spoken to any of those people. But I agree wholeheartedly with everything she said. Based on everything that I read, their intent seems very pure and authentic and coming from a very good place. And what they're trying to do seems, I haven't been able to find anything that says that there's anything, that there's some other hidden agenda behind the one that they've come out in the open with and expressing. So yeah, some of it's hard to understand, and there's some words and terminology in there that's hard to understand, but that happens when you have people translating documents.
You guys thought I was understand.
Yeah, it's you in Javanese. With Google Translator,
and a bottle of red wine, I'd say.
I literally think they used Google Translator. So obviously you're
it's all about energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. I mean, the thing that I'm really happy with is that the kind of messages that at least I've got from information we've seen so far is that they do recognize the energies in the people.
Yep.
And they're trying.
They all have recognized it. That's why they spent so much time managing it and controlling it. So it's absolutely every day. It's just a matter of looking at it from a different perspective. So all I can tell you is this. Everyone's going to have control of their own being, their own value. It's the natural template. Okay, they tried to say, oh, well, we'll just move it from central banks into regional banks, make it smaller, not too big to fail, and all this other stuff. It doesn't matter because that's still not the natural template. The natural template is everyone's responsible for their own being, their own value. They have control and free will choice of how they use it and exchange it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, moving on. Whatever.
Well, I'm just. We could. I mean, I'd like it to happen right now. You know, that'd be nice.
Do you got any awesome music you can play, Lisa? That sounds.
I thought Bob was going to do that entire poem in another round of Ewok rap.
Bobby.
It's time.
Please.
The time is for the Ewok rap.
That's it. It's a very long poem. We probably shouldn't do the whole thing.
Somebody could probably find the Ewok rap somewhere on YouTube.
It's just not going to be the same.
It's got to come from you. If you do the Ewok rap, then I will read out this poem that I was sent.
I think your translators are going to be pissed.
Everyone's cheering for you in the chat room right now.
Yeah, everyone. Bob.
Deep breath. Take a drink, Bob.
Hatujanaba adaba to gobo, wakofulu naka Han Solo, so abule Luke, utato gobe, due paku with Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's all you're getting.
I took a spoutful of water at the wrong time.
You sure? Yeah.
That was actually really cool.
Everyone's busting up in there right now. Oh my god, it's so funny. It's funnier every time I hear it.
It goes a lot longer, guys. We'll have to try and get into the longer version one day. I produced a beautiful rhyme, and I've put it up on my website. And it was automatically written through automatic writing from a woman called Mary Jane Banks. I'm going to recite it. Maybe I should get Bob to do this too, because he's better at things, but anyway, he's not prepared. So it's called the collective imagination. The collective imagination, a frequency hub into which you can tune if you wish. Join the club. There are no rules. It's a place of expression. Add your flavor to expand the creation. We're changing our experience by investing all we are, advancing our humanity and raising the bar. It's a conflagration of all we desire, a bursting forth out of the mire. The pressure cooker can no longer contain us. 3D limits can no longer restrain us. Our frequency will not be filtered. Our consciousness cannot be splintered. Evolution is doing its job. Our hearts individually and collectively throb to a universal orchestra tuning its instruments. The harmonic resonance is rippling through the elements. Anticipation's building for the curtain to rise, but this performance won't be a surprise. It's a conscious creation of the highest order, a rescue mission that knows no border. It's the sweetest sound ever conceived of. Take it in and begin to retrieve love. That's the key to being upgraded, feeling your way to memories faded. With the memories come a whole set of talents, a treasured chest full of balance, lessons hard-earned over eons of time, locked away like vintage wine. As you transform, you'll attract them back, return each bottle to its proper rack. It's not unlike a padlock's sequencing. Adjust the cogs and run the frequency. If the channel's clear, free of blockages, you'll become freer without any damages. But look within, don't search without, you're the one it's all about. You can't fix another, it doesn't work that way. You can show them how, but must let them play. Their unique instrument in whatever key, they have to decide who to be. Freedom requires some heavy lifting. It's not a simple case of lifting. How claim what belongs to you and return what doesn't to where it's due. It's like untangling a ball of string that's interconnected with everything. Use this advice as a helpful tactic to speed your progress in going galactic. See it as a challenge, but something fun. The true decloaking has just begun. Humpty Dumpty had that great fall. Put him back together and climb over the wall. And that's it.
Oh my God.
It's a long one.
Who wrote that?
Barbara, sorry, not Barbara, I was looking at Barbara's Skype there. Hi, Barbara. Mary Jane Banks.
Oh my God, that was amazing.
Dr. Seuss for the new paradigm, Barbara just said.
Wow. Can you send that to me so I can post it?
Yes, absolutely. I think I did already. I emailed it to you.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, just goes to show how behind on emails I am.
I know the feeling.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I loved it.
Wow.
It was beautiful. And I think I'll be organizing an interview with this woman. So, Julian's show. What did you say, Chris?
I was just trying to drop you a subtle hint. You didn't have to read it out. Because I didn't know whether you wanted to talk about it or not. But
complete transparency, you know how it goes.
Sure. Yeah, I just wondered if you wanted to discuss that subject, because it's something I'm sure that this particular audience would be interested in, because a number of them will be involved in that particular discussion that's going on in the cosmic room at the moment.
Yes. Okay. Well, we have spoken to Julian about giving him his own radio show here on the 5D Media Network, and he's been mulling that idea over for the last week or so, and has agreed to. So over the next couple of weeks, we will announce the where and when. We're going to have a little chat with him after the show, aren't we? Try and organise that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, he's asked me to join him, and I said yes. So.
Ah, okay.
Good match. Good match.
Yeah, cool. Very nice.
Excellent.
So yeah, if you're after that poem, you can go to my website, and it's the first thing on the front page at the moment.
Yep. Look, the other thing is the cosmic room itself. I'm not sure whether it's full yet. Details us about 300 people can fit in one of these chat rooms. Not sure what the head count is at the moment, but it shot up after yesterday's show. And for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a Skype chat we've got going on where the main contributor is Julian. He's doing one, probably more, sessions per week where he's talking about the process that he's personally going through, which is quite a rapid development of abilities, and he's got some really interesting insights on how to develop telepathic abilities, understand energy. He's got an ability to view the Akashic and various other energetic forms around us, and has an ability to talk to the new guys. And we've had some incredible conversations in there, and it continues. And if that's something you're interested in looking at, listening to, and if there's room in the room, I think the best thing is to, I don't know, you could put your Skype name into the chat here, into the show chat, and we can forward it on to people in the cosmic room to pull you in. There's quite a lot of, it's like a boat. There's a bunch of people in the boat with all these Skypers kind of swimming around them and getting hauled in and thrown into the boat. Having a party.
And
do you want to go ahead, Lisa?
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask Chris if he wants to explain some of the sessions that we've had with Julian as far as the increasing or enhancing telepathic abilities and whatnot, to kind of give people an idea of how that stuff works.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting process. We've done 4 sessions, and Julian actually discovered in the Akashic there were a set of lessons on developing basic telepathic processes, and he broke it up into 8 lessons. It may even have been presented as 8 blocks of information, but essentially there's a series of concepts you have to absorb. There's a couple of basic techniques that you have to absorb, for instance, one of which is very interesting, but it's giving you a telepathic contact phone number almost, where you actually consciously create an image, which is what people will actually receive should they, if poll you, try to contact you telepathically. It's like your calling card, and you actually use it yourself when you're calling others, so it's very much like a phone number. And some other processes that you go through with simple kinds of, if you like, procedures with other people to start to recognize when it is that you're receiving telepathic messages. Because one of the things that's become clear with these discussions is that people receive telepathic information frequently from those around them but don't recognize it. It's quite subtle when you're first starting, and that's what you've got to focus on. You've got to pick up where the cues are coming in and focus on it. And the lessons proceed through a series of exercises, and as I say, I'm not sure what the back end of it is because I've only done the first 4, but I'm sure that in his show he will probably be talking about this amongst a whole lot of other stuff. The most interesting thing about Julian is that he really only started energy work a year ago with the Avatar Energy Master School with Michael Monk and Peter Shelton, and they sort of got him to a point where he's kind of taken off on his own trajectory and is just working it out as he goes. And we have the privilege of observing that process, and I have a feeling that's probably part of his contract, why he's here to share this stuff with us, and educate a whole lot of us on a whole lot of different things. So we're really enjoying our contact with Julian at the moment. It's working very nicely.
When we do have a time set for a show for him, we'll announce it on this show and the opt-in show, I imagine. And also we'll put it into the Facebook pages, so you won't miss it. And what I'd like to do now, if we can, is move on to some calls for that last half hour that we've got, unless there's anything else you wanted to announce.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
We've got the information about the flash mob for Daryl out there, and we'll certainly keep you updated. We'd really love to get people out there with cameras to record it, so we can tell his whole story through the media that we've got available at the moment, which is the alternate media. That was important, but I think along with Julian, that's about all there is from my end.
And Heather has gone to bed, guys. She sends her love and says night-night and big kisses. And we're about to lose Brian as well.
Yeah, I might as well jump now, guys. I gotta head out to yoga, but always a pleasure. Lisa, Chris, Bob, everyone listening, everybody in the chat room. Much love to everyone, and good night. Wiedersehen, bon voyage, and I will talk to everybody soon. Namaste.
And you'll be on the Morning Brew show again tomorrow, yes?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me of the note I just sent you less than 30 seconds ago.
You're getting it done.
Morning Brew with Gwen Caldwell on Orion Talk Radio is now 2 hours on every Wednesday, dedicated to One People's Public Trust at the former OPPT, now IUV Exchange. We're looking for people to come on and talk about their courtesy notice stories. If anybody has a courtesy notice story, they want to come and talk about it live on the radio, email me at briankellysblog@gmail.com. And tomorrow we have Ron Van Dyke and Ginger Snap coming on the program. So it's 8 to 10 Pacific time. I'll put a link to it tomorrow or tonight when I get home from yoga, so people can listen in live tomorrow.
Thanks, Don.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Okay. Bye, Brian.
Bye. Okay, we have our first caller. We have Prince. Prince is here. Hey, Flo. No, he's gone. Prince, you there? No? Okay. We'll move on to area code 757. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Yes, how you doing? This is Sovereign Light.
Hello, Sovereign. How you doing?
Peace, love, and light to all embodiments.
And to you.
Peace to Heather, and I'm picking up on Loie. Peace to Loie. Peace to our cosmic cousins. As you know, I'm one of those that was in contact with the banks, and I had just a personal question on how to move forward with them, being that now the UV exchange is in full effect, and I want to know how to speak to them on as far as how do we find a mode of exchange, as far as
I have no idea yet. I have no idea. I mean, what Heather said today was all news to me as much as it was to you guys. I don't know what this is going to look like when it finally launches and what the mechanisms are.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, what Heather's saying is that and it's quite pivotal for moving forward, is that the people have to be told what's been going on.
Right.
At that point, the banks know that they will have to start, reforming what they're doing in accordance with both the OPPT filings and all the work that's happened since, and the implementation of the UV exchange. And exactly how that will transpire, I don't know. There's a lot of reconciliations to be done with the system, and could all happen. I'm sort of, again, talking about the fact is, I think at the top end of the system, I think what the Swissindo order flags is, it's flagging the top end of the system. It's time to reconcile. So, given that it's like a, push starting a truck to try and get things moving at that top end, and given that it's being prodded from the lower end by a lot of people courtesy noticing the system and refusing to cooperate with the system, everyone, all the people throughout the system know that it's got to change. Exactly when, of course, we don't know, and exactly how that will morph into what we use next, I don't know.
If I can speak, based on what Heather said, she said it's no different than the system that already exists, except it's completely, absolutely transparent.
Right.
And you have complete access. Those are the only differences. So I can tell you how normally a transaction like that would take place. If you're a bank, right, you have a core account, okay, in your case 10 billion. You also can create sub-accounts. Like, for instance, you can create an account for Christmas, a holiday account, or whatever. And perhaps this is going to be an equity account for purchase of a home or whatever your project may be. That account you can assign a number and a key for, okay? Set aside for whatever it is. And then you can give that information to whoever it is that you wish to do the exchange. Okay, here's a certain amount of money in this account. Here's the access to that account. Here's the key code.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's how it would work in the normal system, or at least how I envision it would work based on what I know.
And
if it's similar to that, but
and I see it working exactly the way how you say it, Bob. And I feel the need to say that, from the disclaimer the other day, and from Caleb, peace to Caleb too, because everybody is looking for this hero and this white horse to come in, somebody riding in and just save them and free us. And you're gonna have to do this yourself. You're gonna have to make movements for yourself. What is it that you need? You're gonna have to make that move for yourself. Fear was a topic early in the conversation, and fear is something that everybody is gonna feel, and it's only an awareness. You got to put a new term to that, what you thought was fear. Because if you keep saying that word, if you keep saying fear over and over again, the word starts to mean so much different things. Now what are you talking about? Fear? Now you're talking about something that you pay into? So now pay energy into that. Pay energy into that, value into that. And you begin to recognize that it's an awareness, And when you work through that, you see the value of it. When you go out there and you work in the garden or you worked on this project and you see the end value of it, you feel a sense of accomplishment. The manifestation of that from the raw material that was provided by nature, because you're an embodiment. You came into this life knowing what you're supposed to do. So we ask the questions knowing that it's a reflection and knowing that we're going to have to do these things for ourselves. Never think for a second that anyone could do something for you. You're going to have to do it for yourself. So I thank you, my brother.
Thank you, Sovereign. Well said.
Thank y'all very much.
Bye for now, and thanks for calling in, as always. Area code 507. Area code 507. Okay, we'll move on.
Yeah, bye.
No, we've got you. Hello.
Hello, this is Evie, And in talking about the fear, fear is an acronym also. It's false evidence appearing real.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if we think in those terms, that too will help alleviate the pressure it's causing, and open it up so that we can figure out what we need to do. So that's.
Thank you for the reminder.
Yep, like that.
Yeah. Well, thank
Love
you.
your show.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
love
you.
having you here. Okay, area code 617.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, what's your name?
Oh my gosh, my name is Mike. I'm a mailman
Mike.
in Boston.
Mike the mailman.
Yeah, all right.
Mm.
I like to think of mailmen as deliverers of information.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So anyways, the only reason why I say that is because I usually listen to you guys the day after on my routes. So I have something to listen to, You walk around for 6 hours a day by yourself. You need something to, keep you, going,
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, actually.
And anyways, I've been listening. I really, it all started, I started listening to Coast AM a long time ago. And then you really get this thirst for, the truth. You really just want to know, what is really going on in the world, And so, you start asking people, questions and stuff, and, they always, brush it off. Oh, it's a conspiracy theory, this, that, or the other. But then you really, you really dig in, and, you see, holy cow. It's like a puzzle. You put it all together, and, you see the big picture. So I have been, following Coast to Coast for a while, and then I started listening to this Drake dude. I know you guys know about him, Alex Jones, all the fear-mongering out there. And, I really realized that the more you, cloud your head with the negativity, the more you sink into that fear state, the more, you're not really contributing that positive, that higher vibration to the society, And so it's really a matter of just when I first started hearing you guys talk about all this, it was crazy. It was such a high vibration. People actually out there are really living on a high vibration. And it's a matter of tapping into that for people,
Absolutely. And one of the things that, as we're talking about avoiding the low vibrations, fear, one of the things that we did yesterday was launch the Declaration of
the oath.
Oh, good. No, that's not an oath. Not an oath. No, it's a declaration. Declaration of absolute freedom. Now, if you read that and really take it on board, that's really self-empowering stuff. And on the website, we've actually got a couple of audio recordings of people in the process of signing their own documents.
Right.
And there's a great little thing to offset fear is self-empowerment. That we're getting up into that right energy that you're talking about.
Right. And so it's just so hard when you're dropped into everybody is so negative sometimes. It's it's unbelievable. So you really have to push through to stay positive. It's wow, really this is how things are supposed to work, and then you realize no. And the problem is the people. We need to create that. And I think that what we're doing with what I say we because it is we. What we're doing with this OPT or formerly OPPT is important, and I think that I had my friend over. We had a courtesy notice, sit down. And we read over the guidelines, and But I think this conversation is so relevant. This whole fear aspect is I haven't sent my courtesy notices out. He hasn't sent his out yet, and I think there's really that self empowerment that has to happen for somebody on an individual basis.
Yeah, I mean, if you're deciding you're not quite ready yet, you can use the foreclosure flyer and your Declaration of Absolute Freedom. I mean, that's what we're trying to do is put the right energy into the system. I mean, it's this energy we have to introduce into the system that actually is going to really assist in changing it. So.
And shout to Sovereign Lion. When I heard that program, with him going into the bank and doing it in the way he did it, and how it took him a while mentally to prepare to go and do that in meditation, and finding himself in a way, and then really going in there and doing that. It really was holy moly, that's it. You can do it. You go in there with the respect that they deserve, because like you said, this is new for everybody. Everybody's having a hard time understanding it in a way, and so to really break it down to them in layman's terms, once you get it, you see how monumental this is. It's like a change in your personality, your life, everything. You realize that better days are coming, and it's not like, it's not, pie in the sky. It's really like you're going to be the one who's going to do it, so you're going to have to take responsibility for it, but better days are totally coming. It's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that's the intent that we're trying to make sure we keep our focus on.
Totally. And I don't want to take too much more time. I want to get other people on the line, but I did want to say, me and Prince, when I heard Prince first on the net, mind you, I'm from Boston, he's from New York, so we never met nothing, but when I heard Prince on the line, I actually emailed him, and then
Mike, we can hope that's
friends on Instagram. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, we lost you for a minute. We couldn't quite hear you. I just wanted to ask, are you in a position to, print out foreclosure flyers and deliver them in mailboxes as you go?
Actually, it's illegal to do that, but I guess like said, what's illegal now? You know what I mean? But I'm totally I don't want to incriminate myself or pre-incriminate myself by talking about it over the airwaves. But again, what is incriminating? Anymore? The whole thing has been
exactly. Exactly.
So it's like really, in a sense, I could do that. I could literally print out all the foreclosure flyers and put them in every bucket of mail I go to. And I don't know why I'm not doing that. But again, it's that fear aspect. See how it all it's really like being self-empowered and doing it. And now, if you really believe in this, if you really want to do this, don't wait for somebody else to do it first. You don't have to see the results first. Just do it because you know that is right. And that's honestly how I feel. It's just like I said, getting over that fear thing. I have a daughter. I'm not trying to go to jail type of thing. And how many people I'm trying to think in my circle, how many people who follow stuff like this? There's not really many. So there are many, but even when you try and talk to them about it, again, it seems so monumental that it's just like people are just like, yeah, whatever. There goes Mike again, But at the same time, it's like, but when you understand, and I feel like you guys are like my family in a way. Like I listen to you guys more than I talk and people. I don't talk obviously because I'm listening to the after, but I listen to you guys fairly a good amount. I find interviews that I haven't heard and listen to those. Just again, thirsty for information. If this is the legal, if the law is really UCC files, then this should all be really relevant. So we should really start to pay attention to it and try and understand it. And so I try to pass on the message and everything. But anyways, again, I don't want to take up too much time. I know you guys got a lot of callers, and I'm not trying to be like that air hog. So
well, thanks for calling in, Mike, the mailman.
Yeah, for sure. I love you. I love all you guys, like I said, and Chris and Lisa and Heather and Bob and all you guys. You guys rock. I actually listened to Bob's nephew on the radio the other day. I loved it. I was loving it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my gosh, Bob's nephew. But anyways, I just want to let you guys go. All right, love you guys.
You too.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Brilliant. Was that?
Let it go.
Was Bob's nephew on Emilio's radio station, Emilio's radio show?
I'd say so. Was he on the Remembering, Bob?
Yeah, he's on the Remembering usually.
Yeah, now
he's a regular.
For anyone that's listening, the Remembering is a show that's aimed at with the same sort of content for this show, but for young people, because they need a voice. And Emilio's a young chap down in country Victoria who made our acquaintance attracted our attention by organising a meeting and doing a really nice job of it. And so Lisa asked him if he'd like to run a show. And here he is. Saturday mornings, I think it is, Lisa. Is that correct?
Saturday mornings for us in Australia. Friday night, I think 8 o'clock.
So if you've got some young folks around you, point them at that because he's looking for people to call in. He wants to hear from the young folk.
And I've got... What's Thomas up to? Thomas said he's got some...
So you've got some Sasquatch updates for us.
I don't know. He wants to talk after the show, not on air.
Ooh.
So, area code 509.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
This is Belinda.
Hi, Belinda.
And I have two short questions. One is, what about those of us that aren't real computer savvy and don't understand a lot of the lingo? Will it be pretty easy accessible? I mean, will it be pretty spelled out?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up having some a couple of short, sharp shows to get instructions up.
Okay.
For people
and
who.
Will we be? I'm
yep.
sorry.
No, I was just going to say that's probably an idea that we sort of get Caleb and whoever else in a tutorial. If they're not planning on doing that themselves, then we can certainly put that to them.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, and will we be able to tell everybody we know that there's very few people out here where I live that believe anything that I say.
Well, once you've got something tangible to show them.
Yes.
It shouldn't be too much of a hard sell.
Yeah.
So one of the things that's pivotal in introducing
will anybody
this,
be able to tap into it is what I'm asking, that I could convince that this is real?
Yeah, there is no exceptions.
Okay.
Everybody. It's just for everyone.
Everyone has access, and the pivotal thing is that what Heather's saying to us is it will be accompanied by public releases of information, so that people know what's going on. And so what you'll find is all your friends will probably come looking for you, saying, "Actually, you were right, but I still don't understand it. Can you explain it to me?"
Okay.
So you might have a queue of people at your door saying, "What is going on?"
It's just really, I can't believe how hard it is to convince people of anything. I mean, I used to be around everyone that I was around was really into, the 5D thinking, but around here now where I live, there's just nobody. I mean, nobody believes anything that I try to tell them, no matter which way I present it to them. But it's okay. I mean, I've got you guys, and I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Yeah, look, there's so many people, and there's so many people who have had that experience that everybody around them is just drinking the Kool-Aid, as we like to say. They're just taking it all in from the mainstream media and accepting that's what is. And my view on it is that the people who know more about what's going on, and some of them know a lot about what's going on, their role kicks in after this information starts to go public, because there'll be, we've talked earlier in the show about a fear reaction, and there's going to be quite a lot of that, and it's really our job to, pour fresh and friendly water on that fire of fear and put it out, and just tell them to calm down, relax, it's all going to work, but they just need to pay attention to the new information they're getting, and make sure they understand it. Just be there for them.
I will be, and I happen to know that is my role. That I will be one that helps everybody, eventually to understand what's going on. I've known for a very long time that would be my role, but it still is kind of frustrating. But they all love me and they all respect. They show me great respect. But I'm a really good source of entertainment.
And just to give you an update. Oh, sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
When it comes to, you don't really even have to convince anybody, because the reason why people have a hard time accepting is because they've only seen one season of life. Like if you were one of those creatures like a fruit fly that only lives, maybe several weeks, at a time, and you happen to be born in the winter time. Well, all you would know is winter. Okay?
Right. Exactly.
And if somebody told you summer is coming, you might have a hard time believing it, because all you've ever seen known as winter. But if you've lived long enough and you've seen the seasons change, you would know what the signs are and what the evidence is, and you would know summer's coming. You don't have to convince them, because when it comes, it will be evident. And it's the same, we're dealing with galactic seasons now, and the season is changing. You don't really have to convince them. They may not believe it, but the evidence is there, and those who have recorded this for long periods of time know the season's changing. Yes. And it will be self-evident.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much, and I love you all.
Well, you're welcome, and we love you too. And I just received an update from BZ, who's our amazing website person over at the oppt-in.com website, and she's just let me know that they've been in long conversations with Caleb about that website supporting the rollout of Project 13 with tutorials, etc. So there are learning tools coming.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Yeah, we just have to make sure Caleb's in a good mood when he does them.
Well, maybe once it's actually launched, he will be, and he'll have more time and he'll be a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, he'll be good then.
Yeah,
be good.
So thanks, Belinda.
Thank you very, very much. Good night.
Good night. Okay, area code 406. Hello, 406.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. This is Whitney in Montana.
So, hey. What was your name? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Whitney.
Whitney. Hi, Whitney.
Excited to be on the call. I haven't been on a national call yet, but I've been kind of in touch with everybody running we have a little bit of an OPP team up here. And, you know what was interesting, and I know this, everybody's listening to this call, but I almost felt like I was being contacted, channel a message directly through from the new guys to you on the phone.
Ooh, do tell.
But this would be like the first time that would ever happen, and I can feel the energy coming through me, but I'm not quite sure how to release that yet. So there might be something in store maybe a little later.
Okay.
It's just like right at the time I'm sitting here thinking, oh my goodness, I've got 3 minutes, and if I get on the phone, something's going to happen, and now I'm scared.
Oh, don't be.
Yeah.
No.
So
I relax. And there's no time pressure.
I'm sorry?
No time pressure. We can go over.
That's true.
Yeah, we just have to remember to bid our audience goodbye as far as the
live audience.
The live audience, yeah.
And there's 10 spots left on the call-in line on the switchboard if you would rather call in and listen that way if we do go over. But you'd have to be quick. So we will lose the live audience in about 3 minutes, just under 3 minutes. But do you want me to just leave your line open there, Whitney?
Yeah,
and
that would be perfect.
And if you feel you want to speak up, then you can do so.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to the next caller. It's area code 707. Hello, 707.
Hello.
Hello.
Wow. Hi, you guys. My actual first question was going to be for Brian, and I got on right before he decided to leave to go to yoga. So I'm like, well, I love you guys. I'm going to stay on the line, and I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to send you energy and be in this presence. Chris, I want to say...
I was going to say, you can give us a shot with the question for Brian.
Well, it was funny. I was really guided to listen over and over. I was told, listen to the Gwen show from last week. And about less than 10 minutes in, he mentioned that he had sent Chase Auto Finance a lien. He had a $10,000 note. I mean, that's exactly my situation right now. And I just wanted to ask him some details about it, and I was really interested in hearing. I mean, I know it's the same process for whatever corporation you're working with, but I thought it was such a zinger to me because I've been kind of battling with these guys for a while now, and I feel nervous right now. Sorry.
Don't be. You're
Don't be.
But
friends here. You did actually pick a question that we actually can't answer. So.
But it isn't about that. What I really want to say is that, like the caller a couple calls ago, the postal guy and his vibrancy, and all of us out here just listening and feeling the energy of what's coming and what's changing and how we work with it, how we do it. It feels so right. I just want to tell you that. And there are so many layers of people doing so many different things. Chris, I think you're a master teacher. I want to say thank you for all of the time you've spent articulating because you're really good at it. And Lisa, I love you. I've been listening to you for years. And
Oh, thank you.
Very nervous.
Big breath.
Thank you, Belinda. No, it's appreciated. I mean, we talk and we speculate and we try to round everything out and then Bob chimes in and just goes wham with his higher view. Yeah, we have a good time.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I guess I'm just one of the people out here loving you and holding space and trying to figure it out and go to the next level. But there's so many layers, and we're all in this together. But I believe in this energy a lot, and it just feels right to me. And yeah, I just wanted to send you love. I decided to stay on the line whether I was comfortable with it or not.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Well, glad you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you both, and Bob too, and everybody out there. I just love you all so much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
We return in kind, as Heather would say.
All right.
Thanks, darling.
Be continued. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. It's just, this is such a family. I love it.
Great feeling. I mean, the energy, you can imagine. Can you imagine 7 billion people feeling the way that Belinda does? If you want to imagine something, imagine that. I mean, that's just too good. To use an Australian term.
It's just too good.
Yep.
Okay, area code 347.
I think that's Prince again.
347? We're not getting him. No. Okay, Whitney. You still with us?
I am still with you. I'll just, if you want, I'll describe kind of what's happening to me.
Yes.
I actually am a vibrational healer and run karaoke. Put those together. But after watching, of course, the Sirius movie, and I've been working on. I know I've been developing this for a while in myself. But so I'm feeling a very strong connection, and I'm not quite sure how. It almost feels like maybe that they're in my body, and it's almost like I can feel like there's a second covering of skin on me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was working on someone earlier today who, when I was working on them, channeled a message to me from Akasha, which said that I would be channeling messages from Orion. Now, I don't know what that means, but when I started during the phone call here meditating or just kind of sitting with that and thinking about the possibility of bringing that onto a phone call so quickly, but that everything is in such divine timing at all times that, it would make sense that massive leaps forward would happen this quickly. So that's I'm feeling that it's possible, and I don't know if I know how to shut up my ego and let it through, but I can be working on that.
Well, we can just talk you through it.
Well, that's true.
I mean, what's the thing that's most prevalent for you? Is it an emotion? Is it words?
I am feeling a lot of emotion. I did feel, because I've been working on this from about 30 minutes now, so I did let loose of control and allow, there's a different feeling as far as in the heart chakra area. But then it felt like I connected emotionally with the group on the phone call.
This, as in us, or as in?
Mm-hmm. Yes, everybody on the phone call, all the callers, all the chat rooms, all the everything. Almost. Go ahead.
Sort of feeling the collective vibe.
Mhm.
And it's nice.
So in the amount of energy, I would say it feels like I have a brick on my head. Actually, a cinder block. It's pretty heavy, coming down through my face and through my fingers and down through the floor.
And do you feel like there's a word coming? Is there a message coming? Have we lost you?
No. I can feel it coming up through my neck. This is really funny. I can feel it coming, and then I get scared, and then it like stops growing. It's really a big lesson in being just allowing and relaxing completely.
So what are you frightened of? Are you frightened of getting in the way of it, of your ego trying to turn into something else?
I think the actuality of the holy shit, is this really happening? Because that would be so exciting. Oh my goodness! But
yeah, well, this is where I'm sure Julian would say is that you have to give it permission, create a space for it to be, and give it permission to be there, and just and you can actually your permission, it's like a little contract. Your permission can actually come with conditions if there's something that is making you nervous. So if you think about it in that sense, and then you're happy. You see that you've set your specific requirements, and if provided the energy that's coming can meet with those, then it will work. And Julian does that specifically. I mean, his intent is to remain as impartial as possible and just pass information through. So he's placed certain restrictions on how he's going to operate, and everyone that contacts him honours those conditions. So it's up to, again, this is free will choice.
I think we should put Whitney in touch with Julian.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
He can help you get through this.
When I was listening in earlier, that's the first time I've heard of the Cosmic Room. We've started what we call the flight hangar here. There's probably 3 members, but there's going to be more, where we can explore how to fly and how to bilocate and dematerialize and materialize.
Well, Julian's he's very interested in all of those things. He's working very hard on manifestation at the moment, and he would love to talk to you if you've got a group organised about it, I'm sure.
Cheryl, are you on? Sorry, Cheryl. I just read that in the Skype in the chat room. Whitney, are you on Skype?
I think I'm just under my full name.
Well, if you send me a Skype request, it's just Lisa M. Harrison.
You just friended me today. I sent you a friend request today.
Oh, then I will add you to that room if I haven't already. Okay. See if I can find you in there.
Yeah, the feeling's only getting stronger, but I also feel like I don't want to take up time here.
No, I'm sure everyone's finding this very, very interesting, because it's this whole aspect of what will happen to our natural abilities when this energetic explosion starts to take place. That's prescient. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who have moved in this direction through either yogic practices or meditation or both, all sorts of means of doing it, and they're the ones that are most likely to start getting the upgrade, if you like.
Julian just sent a message that he would like to connect with you, Whitney, and he says that you can find him on Facebook.
Okay.
There you go.
I can't find you in my Skype contacts either.
I'll send the Facebook.
It was on Facebook. Sorry, Lisa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, we're in this process. We're all starting to switch on these abilities. So, hearing you go through this struggle.
The call almost becoming a massive CE5 meditation.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that was a very fascinating aspect coming through the Stephen Greer movie that I didn't I didn't really realize what's going on with people actively going out and meditating and communicating that way with our family members. So that was pretty fascinating.
Thank you. All right, I think we'll let you go for now, and we'll connect you with Julian, and
maybe by next Monday we can have it nailed.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep us updated.
Oh, thank you very much for
thank you. I'll
calling in and staying with us, Whitney.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. It's been a great show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
So actually, we despite the fact you lost your list, Lisa, there's three of that lost your list, Lisa. No, I think the subjects just present themselves.
Yeah, they do. Best show ever. I got to lose my list more often.
There you go. Well, let's look at that. You created a list. Was it a limitation?
That's exactly right. Was I limiting myself?
There's another L word.
Yes. Full of them today. All right. We will see you guys next Monday night, Tuesday for the opt-in show, and same time next week for Collective Imagination. We've also got the Remembering, as again similar subject matter, but for a younger crowd. Get the kids involved. That's on Friday night, Saturday morning. And we will be announcing a show with Julian coming up soon. So stay tuned.
Excellent.
And everybody have a lovely evening, afternoon, good sleep, whatever you're about to do.
Yep. I'll add more to that. I have more than one word. I can do other words. Yep. Everyone have a great week, and just explore your non-limits.
Yeah.
Explore your expanse.
We are all absent limits. That's it. And you can feel it. I love it when it washes over me in a wave like that.
It does, because it actually, if you think about it for all, it actually starts to present itself to you as an energy.
Yeah.
That?
Well, that was my egg thing when I was sort of had it as like a mantra in my head. That's when I saw the eggs.
Right. Interesting. That was a message.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this stage, folks, thank you for listening. It's been great.
Yep. Same time next week. See you then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.